2023 has been a pretty mixed bag when it's come to games so far. We've had some really good games come out this year, like Star Wars Jedi Survivor on PC, The Last of Us Part 1 on PC, Forspoken, Redfall, and I thought 2023 could go down as one of the best years ever for video games. But then we start to get some really awful games, like The Legend of Zelda Tears of Boredom and Resident Evil Snore Remake, and so I was getting a little bit worried that we wouldn't get any more good games in 2023. But recently a game called Gollum came out and everyone, and I mean everyone, loved this game.
Looking at Metacritic right now, you'll find a Metascore of 36 from 33 critic reviews. On OpenCritic, you'll find a critic score of 40%, and only 4% of critics would recommend this game. Frankly, I'm shocked that this number isn't 0.
It's like a 2007 game, a mediocre 2007 game that's releasing in 2023 that they're charging $60 for on console and $50 on PC.
You know, I'm usually respectful, I'm responsible with the platform, but this game deserves the smoke. It's absolutely the worst game to come out this year, and we're after Redfall.
Lord of the Rings Gollum is utter garbage.
So clearly everyone loved this game. The reviews for this game were so amazing. Gamers seem to love it. I bet it's probably gonna get Game of the Year, maybe even Game of the Generation at this point. So because of all of this high praise, and because all the gameplay footage I saw about the game online looked so good, I obviously had to play this game. So I went to my local GameStop to get the game, but it turns out they didn't have any copies. They actually told me to go to the back of their store and take a look at their dumpster. So I took a look at their dumpster, and it turns out the dumpster not only had copies of Gollum, but it actually had copies of Forspoken and Redfall too. What are the odds of that? So I went home, booted up Gollum, and started playing the game, and after getting like 5 to 6 hours into the game, I just had to stop playing. I just could not play any more of this game. Why? Well, isn't it obvious? I was having so much fun with Gollum. Gollum was such an incredible game. It was too incredible, actually. I couldn't take just how amazing this game was, so I just stopped playing it. You know, because that's what you do when you really love a game, right? You just stop playing it. After returning the game to the dumpster I got it from, I felt like I had to make this video. I had to make a video telling people about this masterpiece of a game, this Gollum-tastic game. To me, Gollum is the Morbius of video games. With a 237 Metacritic score and a 15.6 user score, this is already the greatest game ever made, and the world needs to know about it. So in the words of a wise little creature, let's do this. When I first heard they were making a Gollum game, I thought, wow, what a great idea. I mean, obviously a character like Gollum is the perfect character to lead a video game, obviously. I mean, why would you want to play as like a cool dude who can climb buildings like in Assassin's Creed and fight bad guys kind of like in a Batman Arkham game? No one wants to fight orcs with a sword or do stuff like this. That sounds so boring and lame. Who would want to do any of that stuff? And Gollum, you get to do chores instead. Chores. Doesn't that sound so much more exciting and fun? Gollum is so much fun. It's definitely the funnest game I've ever played. That's obvious. In Gollum, you get to go and take orders from complex and interesting characters like Candleman and Frail Man and Cruel Woman. And the chores you get to do are so much fun. Like, I had this super riveting and thrilling chore where I had to go and collect prison tags from dead soldiers, and then I had to go to sleep. I got to do this other amazing chore where I had to go and herd some random animals into some pen for some reason, and then I had to press a lever to lock them up in the pen. It was so great, and what's even better is that the game gave me the privilege of doing it again. My favorite one though was this fantastic bird breeding minigame where Candleman told us to go and breed some bird for some reason. You're not told how to do it, you just sort of have to figure it out. It's definitely not boring and lame, and it totally makes sense for a Gollum game. But Gollum is more than just a brilliant prison simulator. It's also a fantastic platformer too. What I love about Gollum is just how smooth the platforming is. Gollum is super floaty and the controls are imprecise, which is exactly what you'd expect from a $60 game released in 2023. Unlike a game like Uncharted 4, it's really easy to jump to the right spot and still fall to your death. Platforming is super clunky and and rigid, and I love it. But by far, my favorite part of the gameplay was the stealth. The stealth in this game, oh my god, guys, you've never seen stealth like in Gollum. In a garbage game like Metal Weird Fluid 5, there are like thousands of ways to complete stealth missions, but that's so stupid. Who wants freedom of choice and options for stealth missions? Gollum is so much better. In Gollum, you get to throw random stones at enemies. Whoa, and it gets even better. In Gollum, you can even hide under tables. Oh my god, that's insane. You can even sneak up behind guards that don't have helmets and knock them out. That's unreal. In Gollum, you can even crouch, which is something you've never seen any game ever. And in Gollum, if you get caught, you get to die instantly, and you get this incredible animation. Wow, it's so deep, it's so complex, it's so intricate, and it definitely does not suck. I think it's pretty obvious just how engaging and interesting the gameplay in Gollum is, but there's also the story. The story in Gollum is extremely captivating and moving. There are a lot of complex and mature ideas that might be too much for the average gamer to handle. Some people might just not be ready to handle a narrative as deep and complex as Gollum. Experiencing the extremely powerful narrative in Gollum changed me as a person, and you too might become an entirely different person after playing Gollum. The game is about Gollum, and he's trapped in a place where he can't Gollum anymore. Over the course of the game, Gollum learns the power of Golluming. I mentioned in my Suicide Squad video how I cried for days after the extremely memorable and deep character Slipknot died. Slipknot was such a great character. He could climb anything, and he had so much screen time. I never thought any scene from any game, movie, or show could come close to capturing the emotions I felt when Slipknot died. Well, somehow I was wrong. The scene where Gollum starts Gollumining and says it's Gollumining time sent chills down my spine, and I think it's definitely just as powerful as Slipknot's death was. Generations from now, people will be analyzing all of the layers of meaning and subtext in Gollum's narrative. Gollum is a game that might send you kicking and screaming because of all of its challenging themes, and I think for that reason, some people might say that they don't like the narrative and that they may even hate it. But trust me, you have to experience this narrative. Just like Slipknot's story, you will see the light after being touched by Gollum's moving tail. Of course, there's the graphics. Guys, just look how gorgeous this game is. This is easily the best looking Lord of the Rings game since Shadow of Mordor on the PS3. That game ran at a super cinematic 12 frames per second, twice as cinematic as a movie. Look at the environments and backgrounds. Look at just how beautiful all of this is. Look at the faces. Wow. These are some of the best faces I've seen from a PS2, I mean PS5 game. I love how everything looks super dull and bland. I love how lifeless the faces look. So great. Easily the best graphics I've seen from any game ever. I recently played this obscure indie game called The Last of Us Part 1 from the small studio called Cool Cat. It's not very good. Anyways, one of the things I really hated about that game was just how realistic all the characters looked, how detailed all the environments were, how realistic the animations were. The game looked so bad. Gollum has these amazing animations you would see from a game in like 2003 or in games that cost $5 on Steam, but what makes all of this better is that Gollum doesn't cost $5, it costs $60, the same price as Snooze Pill 4D Make and Lame Thing, and it looks way better and has way better animations. Look at all these incredible animations. Look at this incredible death animation. Now that's a $60 quality game if I've ever seen one. What I also loved about Gollum is that it had these super cool features where the game environments would sometimes disappear around you, or Gollum will attach himself to the air. This must be some next-gen fancy stuff that we haven't seen from games before, and the game will actually randomly crash and you'll be forced to restart missions.
Can we kick in the afterburners here? A little turbo drive? This is very slow. Oh no, it just crashed, didn't it?
You're always on the edge of your seat thinking, will my game crash? Will I get a bug that stops me from completing a mission that forces me to restart? You never know, which always makes the game super exciting. I've heard that the developers are trying to fix these non-issues, which really makes me upset. Like, who wants to pay money for a game that's complete, finished, and that runs well and is polished? Not me, that's for sure. Speaking of money, Gollum has this crazy cool minigame where you get to actually go to the main menu and you get to type out your credit card info to get the honor of getting 6 emotes. So you could do cool stuff like this.
What was that?
For only $3, what a bargain. It gets even better though, because you can also pay $3 to get Elfish voice acting. Other games also have voice acting where the actors speak a fictional language in the game, but they must have done it way worse than in Gollum, because in those games, you get the fictional language voice acting for free, but in Gollum, you have to pay $3 for it. But that isn't even the best one. For $5, you can get a lore compendium, something that most games would just give you for free, but they actually give you the freedom to pay them money for it. How generous of them. But the devs' generosity doesn't end there. They actually gave you the option to buy the Precious Edition of the game. The Precious Edition comes with everything I just mentioned, and you get an art exhibition and a digital soundtrack for only $10 more than the base game. All of this amazing value. Some people might call all of this a scam and say the game is a scam. Well, let me ask you this. If it is a scam, then how come, according to this article that I definitely did not change using the Google Inspector on Chrome, how come, according to this article, Gollum has already sold 300 Gollumillion copies? Huh? How come, according to this article, Gollum has a 10-star out of 5 on Steam? Huh? How would that be possible if Gollum was a scam? It's not a scam, it's just haters don't want to admit when they're wrong. I've seen some people hate on this game, and it's like, why? Gollum has the best gameplay, the best story, the best graphics. I think there must be some agenda against this game. I mean, how else can anyone possibly hate this game? It can't be because Gollum is a crappy game with bad graphics, awful gameplay, and a boring story. Just ignore the haters. They're probably paid on to hate this game. Remember, these are the same people that unironically told us that games like Boredom Ring and God of a Snore are good games, so you just can't trust them. But you can 100% trust me, some random guy on YouTube with less than 400 subs. I'm definitely more trustful than all of these people. So just ignore the haters, they're not worth it. And to all the haters watching this video, stop being selfish. It's not about you. It's about the corporation and how much money they can make off of you. Why can't you just like video games? If you say you like video games, then why are you criticizing them? Gamers should just like video games. Really, they should think that every video game is automatically a 10 out of 10, because otherwise that would mean like having your own unique opinion about a game, and that's something I don't like. Gollum is better than a 10 though. It's so good, and there's no way I would possibly ever criticize this game. Oh god, this game is so bad. I can't believe I actually wasted money on this thing. The graphics suck, the gameplay sucks, the story sucks, everything sucks. I mean, like, how could anyone on the development team think this game was possibly good enough to release? And for $60 too, what were they thinking? Oh wait, people are still watching. I love this game so much. Easily my favorite game ever. Buy this game. Buy 10 copies of this game. Always buy games that are super boring. If you can't tell, this is an incredibly serious video. Zero sarcasm. Thanks. Bye.